Okay, welcome. Oh, Bernie, I forgot to ask, are you okay if we go over 5 minutes because we started a bit late?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so sorry about that technical. Well, it wasn't really technical difficulties, was it? It was me being forgetful. But hopefully all good now. And yeah, I've just done a massage actually this evening, and really working with the fascia in this person's body, which I love working with. So I thought I'd take that theme into this evening's class. And when we're doing yoga, so if anyone doesn't know what fascia is, I'm sure you do, but it's like this connective tissue that runs through the whole body, everything. It runs through even bones, it runs through all the muscles, the organs, the bones, and it literally is just like the connective glue that joins everything together. So, and I say a lot in yoga, everything's connected, and it's true. If the more we get really super aware of our inner world, our body, it's such a never-ending journey of how subtle we can know our body, but you can start to feel connections between like the tip of your little finger and your right ear or something. That's a silly example, but everything is literally connected through fascia, and we can really explore these connections, like anatomically track through our body where these lines that we're feeling stretch, I guess usually is what we feel. But there are some kind of key fascia lines that we'll explore, we'll kind of structure the class around, but that's kind of the focus I'd like you to have, is just to really be that inward explorer, like, how can I start to come into relation with my own fascia and how everything's connected. So hopefully by working with these very strong, more obvious fascia lines, we'll start to feel more subtle ones. Okay, so we will begin seated. So just get yourself comfortable and just settle in for a moment, just kind of maybe feeling the seat, your pelvis on the ground, and feeling the spine lifting. So just that kind of grounding focus of the lower body and the top of the head rising. And we might start to feel one of the key fascia lines, which is just down the center or down the back of the body. If we really anchor and drop the tailbone, if we kind of try to take any overarching of the lower back out and just let the spine be neutral by kind of dropping that tailbone straight down and drawing the crown of the head upwards, then we start to stretch the spine and the muscles either side of that spine, and of course the fascia that runs through those muscles ends up through the vertebra of the spine. So try to feel a connection between the base tip of your spine, the tailbone, and the upper part of your spine, which is just at the base of the skull, where the skull rests, the cranium rests on the top vertebra. So if we can, we just start to it's like connecting the dots. We start to stop thinking about our body as disparate parts, like the skull and the tailbone. We start to feel it as connected, of course, through the bone, but also fascia connection, energetic connection. So with your mind's eye, you can kind of draw a line, which obviously is following the spine, but a kind of connected line between the base of the skull and the tailbone. And just as you breathe, just feel like you're breathing into both these parts of your body. And actually, if you've ever had cranial sacral therapy, there's a strong connection between the cranium and the sacrum at the base of the spine, the top, the base of the spine, in terms of our natural internal rhythms, fluid that surrounds the brain and the spinal cord has its own rhythmic pulse. So just maybe tuning into these subtle tidal rhythms within the body. With no expectations of what to find, just a curious mind, an inquirer's mind, exploring your inner world. And then when you're ready, we're going to take the arms out to the sides in line with the shoulder, the palms facing forward. And we're going to find another facial line here. So what might be happening is this, like the shoulders hunching up to the ears, and that creates a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. So we want to be dropping the shoulders, so we activate those muscles around the shoulder blades to draw the shoulder blades down. And at the same time, we're reaching dynamically out. We don't have to come back here. We literally want the wrist to be in line with the shoulders, and stretch and open the palms and the fingers dynamically. So what we're finding here is another strong facial line, which runs fingertip across the chest through the organ of the heart, actually, and out through the other arm and out into the fingertip. And again, we want to try and feel connectivity in the body. So we're going to stay here quite a long time, actually, maybe another minute. Hopefully so that we feel burning feelings of some kind of exertion, but you know, if you need to come out, do. But that sensation, that kind of sensory feedback might start to help you feel how it's all connected. So not only are we feeling the burning in the arms, we're feeling it through the chest. And if we're really stretching and opening the hands in the fingers as well. We're just imagining, again, you might want to close the eyes and just draw an energetic or a connective line from fingertips to fingertips and feel this stretch as a whole along that whole line. Just keep, I know it's probably getting intense now. Just stay with the breath. Been doing quite a lot of qigong with my partner recently, and he's teaching me all these ancient qigongs that basically involve staying in the same position for like 10 minutes. So, and it's amazing. We start to, it helps us when we stay still for a long time, especially when it's challenging. It helps us to go inwards and connect to our inner landscape more and more subtle. Let's say another 10 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can do it. 6, hey Amy. 7, don't worry about pins and needles. 8, 9, and 10. Sorry about that, but hopefully interesting exploring. So just move the shoulders and the arms, and just let the arms rest in your lap, but just feel the heat through that whole line, up the arms, in the hands, the fingertips, and across the chest. So just helping us tune in to these different facial lines. And then we're going to come back into the back seam of the body. So just when you're ready, just take the hands forward, just walk the hands forward. Legs hopefully crossed, but could be any other hand position. But we're dropping the head and we're anchoring the pelvis. So we're only getting, this facial line goes from the tips of the fingers to the back of the heel, but we're only stretching some of it here. What you can do is draw the chin into the chest a little bit, so that you might feel the stretch more in the upper back and the back of the neck and even the back of the skull. And you really kind of look towards your navel. And slowly walking the hands back in. And then coming to the front of the body. So saying this would come all the way down the hip flexors to the toes, but we're only doing the upper part. So take the hands behind you and lift and arch the spine, keeping the elbows drawing in. Again, if you want to kind of emphasize the stretch, you would look up if you want to kind of really get into that front seam. But if you prefer to keep the chin in, that's fine. you want to transfer the stretch into the lower body, it's not quite the key facial line because we're moving more into the inner seam of the legs rather than the front of the thighs, but you could lift the hips. Breathe into the groins, inner thighs, you're feeling that. But focusing more on the front of the body, chest. And then lower the hips if you raise the hips. Bring yourself back upright. And just come back with the hands a minute, and just as you come up again, see if you can like take your heel of your hands off, but leave the fingertips there till the last minute, and just go back and forwards a few times. So we're just trying to get another fascia line that goes from the fingertips down the back, the inner wrist. So what I mean is you're leaning back in your hands, and then you're kind of coming forward, and you're lifting the wrists off, but you're pressing down with the fingers and the thumb. Press, 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 and then back again. And just do that one more time. Press, press, press. Slowly peel the hands off, pressing with the fingers at the last moment, coming back up. Great. And then from here, just come down onto your backs. We will do the opposite of that as well. That's important. So another key facial line that we look at a lot is the side body, from the side of the head to the side of the ankle. So the best one for that is banana asana. So step your, or let's just stretch in the center first. Just take the arms overhead and just take a big central stretch in. Maybe flexing and pointing the feet. So it's a bit like what we just did with the hands. We want to really flex the feet, draw the toes towards the front of the foot. To really get into the fascia on the back of the foot, and then point the toes away to get into the fascia on the front of the foot. So we will work with a lot of foot awareness today. So just flexing and pointing those feet with real mindfulness of fascia connection and how it travels up the whole body. And then step your left foot off the mat to the left. Let your right foot join it, either pressing the inner feet together or hooking the right foot over the left foot, and just start to walk the torso over to the left, keeping right buttock on the floor. You can do what you like with your arms. I'm just stretching them back and just pushing. I'm using my left hand, we wiggle that so you can see, using my left hand to pull on my right wrist, because we're working with the side fascia line of the right side. I'm just emphasizing that stretch here. So make sure your shoulder blades and your right buttocks on the floor, right shoulder blade. You could really flex the feet here. Breathe into the side line. And again, can we join the dots? And we just breathe like an energetic line connection between right fingertips and right toes. Or right outer ankle and outer heel and fingertips. And then uncrossing the right leg, and we back through the center. Centralize first, maybe a big breath in the center, and then take the right foot off to the right. Left foot either presses the inner ankles together with the feet flexed, or hook that left foot over. Keep the left buttock on the floor and the left shoulder blade. Centralize the sacrum, and then maybe, so again this time I'm using my right hand to kind of just gently pull on the left wrist, finding the sideline stretch. So hopefully you can feel it down the whole of the side body, from lower leg, outer lower leg, maybe even ankle, up the side of the leg, side of the thigh, side of the hip, side waist, around the shoulder, armpit, maybe even up into the arm and the wrist and the fingertips. Deep breaths. And then coming back, so bringing the left foot to the center, bringing the torso back to the center. Now we're going to just work with the hamstrings, the back seam of the leg. And if anybody has got a proper yoga strap that's got a loop in it that doesn't come apart, there's an invitation here to do. It's quite a cool little thing, but you can do it without, so don't worry if you haven't got this. If you haven't got it, you're just going to do the usual, use your strap or whatever you've got to stretch the back of the leg. But if anybody wants to try, You're going to make a big loop. I've made the loop as big as I can. I'm putting the ball of the foot in the loop, and then it's a little bit weird, but I'm going to put the other end of the loop behind the occipital hold, so the base of the skull. And I'm not really feeling very much, so I'm going to have to narrow my loop here. So what we're looking for, so the strap is pulling the chin towards the chest, and we just play around. You have to keep the strap taut all the time, so you need to find the sweet spot between pushing the foot away, which is pulling up on the back line of fascia on the back of the neck, bring the chin to the chest, and pushing the head down to feel the hamstring stretch. So you might just need to flap around a little bit to find the length of the loop that way you feel both of those. So I'm having to keep shortening mine so that I can feel the hamstring stretch. So now I do. Now I can just find the sweet spot or play around a little bit. So this is just, again, making a connection between the two kind of ends of this fascia line. Try to keep the right foot flexed. And if you're not doing this kind of loop variation, you've got your hands on the strap, but you're really working on flexing the right foot, because the fascia line goes around the back of the heel and down the back of the sole of the foot to the toes. So it's the whole back of the body, including the sole of the foot. Okay, so this one is kind of a restorative posture. You kind of feel like if you're in the loop, you can just relax and hang out. You can find the sweet spot. It can feel really relaxing. Kind of counts as a restorative posture. If it's not working for you, just take that normal hamstring stretch. Okay, so we could stay here a lot longer, but we're going to change sides. So just be a bit careful as you come out. Maybe bend the knee a little bit and gently remove the strap from the head, and then swap sides. So if you're not using the loop, just again take the strap around the widest part of the foot, but otherwise set yourself up again, linking the sole of the foot with the crown or the back of the head. So this hamstring stretch stretches the back of the legs, and if we're flexing the foot, the sole of the foot to the toes, but it's also coming up the back of the buttocks and up the spine. And when we work like this, it's also getting into the back of the neck and all the way to the crown of the head. That is the end of the line, toes to the crown, up the back of the body. So just choose your position here. Find the sweet spot if you can. And it might not be the most intense, if you're using a loop, you might not be getting the most intense hamstring stretch, but that's not a bad thing. Keep the foot flex, whichever version of this you're doing. Relax the head into the strap, push the foot away to make the head feel really supported. And the strap nice and taut. Okay, one more breath. And then again, just very gently release. Don't yank the head in any way. Bend the knee, just gently release the strap. Those without the loop, just release. Come down, maybe take that one more big stretch again. And then just before we come up off our backs, bring both legs up to the ceiling and take your strap again. And this time, you don't need the loop. We're just going to take it around the soles of the feet. You might need to just shrink the loop if you've had it in the loop and you can't reach the ends of the strap. So we find the strap over the widest part of both feet, and we're holding both ends of the strap. So we're trying to use the strap to flex and open the soles of the feet and kind of, again, anatomically track where you feel this stretch. So I'm feeling it kind of down the inner back of the calf very strongly. And if I tune in, I can kind of just mentally or track this line of intensity at the back of the thigh. If I really tune in, I can feel it definitely in the lower back around the sacrum. A bit trickier to locate it in the buttocks for me, but give ourselves enough time and just tune in. Maybe we start to fill in the gaps. You could also bring the chin up to the chest if it doesn't strain your neck. Let's skip that if it does. Release the head to the floor. And then slowly release. So just let your knees bend, remove the strap. Maybe roll to one side. We're going to come up to our hands and knees. So we're going to cat-cow, and this is really working mostly with the torso and the hips again, but it's again that front and back seam. So really focus again on this fascia from this time tailbone to crown of head. As you inhale into the cow, we've done this a million times. Just see if you can kind of just sense things in a slightly different way, feeling the space between the crown and the tailbone increase, and then as you exhale into the cat, feeling how the crown and the tailbone draw together. Just kind of tracking the line on the front of the body that stretches in the cow, and the line on the back of the body in the cat. Feeling the connection between crown and tailbone. When we're at neutral, they're furthest away. When we come into the cow, they draw together, but perhaps not quite so much as when we come into the cat, and they might feel like they're closer. And at the end of your next exhale, just come back to neutral. Keep the hips where they are and walk the hands forward into Anahatasana. So again, I love this posture for fascia lines. If you can bring the head down or even the chin, use a block if it doesn't reach the floor. But we feel this very strong stretches around the shoulders and the upper back, of course. But what I love about it is I feel this connection kind of down the side body. I feel like gravity helps kind of stretch and open the side waist as well as the spine here. And see if you can feel that side body stretch. So I'm feeling it kind of starting at my hips, down the side body and down the arms to the fingertips. So one more breath. And at the end of the exhale, press through the hands, walk the hands back in. We're going to work with diagonals as well today, because a lot of fascia lines have a diagonal through the body. So lifting the lower belly up towards the spine, stabilize at the pelvic floor, and reach the right leg back and the left arm forward. And I mean, I say this often, I say this most times we do this. See if you can really feel this as a stretch as well as a strengthener. So strengthening the core, but we're also lengthening diagonally. So we push out through the right heel and we reach forward through the left fingertips. And we try to feel a connected line between them. So there's so many different ways we could track fascia through the body. I'm just drawing our attention to a few kind of perhaps more obvious ones. So see if you can feel a connection through the body between left fingertips, right heel. And then on an exhale, release. Sometimes it takes longer, so we might need to stay a bit longer in some postures to start to feel these subtleties. Connect to the pelvic floor again in the core. And again, left leg up, right arm forward. Don't forget the core part of this, so keep lifting the belly up to the spine. And without losing that, just focus on the stretch. So press left heel back at the same time as you reach right fingertips forward. And again, can we feel a connection up the inner left leg, maybe across the front of the groin, and up through right armpit, arms to fingertips. And if we stayed here long enough, we definitely feel like a burning line through the body. And then exhale everything down. And just take a child's pose, and I don't mind knees wide or knees together. But just take the hands forward, drop the head. If you've chosen to take the knees wide, you're getting into the inner thigh kind of fascia line as well as the back. Just take some deep breaths here. And then whatever you've chosen, we're going to just turn it into classic balasana. You might already be there, but we're going to walk the hands in, bring the knees together if we've taken them wide. And then it's like we make ourselves super small. We take the hands back, palms up, and we draw up the head. So we're really working on this back seam, the chin's drawing in towards the chest, the shoulders are dropping forward. So we're really opening the back fascia lines of the body. And then slowly bring yourself up. And we're just going to work with the feet again. So we're going to come into the toe cruncher. So bring yourself up to a kneel and tuck those toes under if you need to with your hand. And, you know, I know this is agony for some of you, you might need to take the hands forward, but if it's available, we're going to bring the spine upright so the weight is more pressing right down onto the heels. And what we're working here is with the fascia of the feet and the toes. So everything kind of starts and ends in the feet. So, yeah, it's intense. Drop the tailbone. I notice in this one I really overarch the low back because it's like part of me is desperate to get out, but see if we can actually drop anchor through the tailbone. Let's take 3 more breaths if we can. Relax the shoulders and the face. And then slowly at the end of your next exhale, come off. And we're just going to stretch the other side of the feet. So come onto the tops of the feet now, kneeling. Even just kneeling for some of us will be enough to stretch the front of the feet. But if we can go further, we take the hands behind and we lift the knees. And we're kind of stretching the front of the feet and into the lower shins here. And then slowly bring the knees back down. If you can, stay kneeling just a short while longer. If you need to come out, then cross your legs. We're just going to return to our chest opening fascia line. This is one of my favorite ways to feel it in the body. And we're just going to work with the wrist. So just flex the wrist so the fingertips point forwards, as if you're holding a really long box. And then point the fingertips back. Just do that a few times, noticing how we shift the sensations across the chest. And then turn the hands up. So now the fingertips are pointing up as if we're pushing a wall away from us. And just feel that as if there's walls closing in from either side and you're pushing with all your might to keep them apart. So there's like active action, active arms. And then point the hands down and pause there. And just one more time up. Holding for a couple of breaths and down. And how such simple things can be so challenging. And then finally, just to finish, we're pretending we're at the gym here. So we're just going to inhale. And this time we do want to try and bring the elbows behind us as we inhale. As we exhale, it's like resist your own effort as you bring the elbows together in front of you so the palms will be facing you. We'll just do that between 5 and 10 times. Inhale back. Exhale, resist your own effort, squeeze. Feel your pectoral muscles working. Inhale back. Exhale, squeeze. So it's like there's resistance. Maybe 3 more. Try not to let the elbows become lower than the shoulders. Really, I'm feeling that across the chest now and in the arms. Last one. And then release again, just let the arms rest. And just before we will kind of come off our knees in a moment, but just to get into, because we did this wrist thing, so we're just going to do that again and then do the back of the wrist. So you can tuck the toes under or have them down, but we're just going to bring the hands forward so the wrists are directly below the shoulders to begin with, but then we start to take the hips back if available. And try to keep the heel of the hands on the floor. So you might need to stay up. If you have a tendency to overextend, which I definitely do, you might want to try and keep a bend in the elbow. So feeling again, this is the fascia line that starts at the fingertip, comes across the palm and up the back of the hand, back of the arm. And then come forward and just move the hands to face forward again, and just working probably one hand at a time, at least to begin with. We'll do the opposite. So bring the palm to face up. So we're stretching the outer wrist. Try not to put too much weight down that hand though. We're pressing more through the right hand. And again, we might feel we can start to take the hips back, but try not to lift the wrist off the floor. Be really careful with this one. And if it doesn't feel appropriate, skip it. Maybe just do the other one again. But really, for me, it felt in my body I needed to balance it and do the other facial line. And slowly come back up ease yourself out. It's quite a delicate position for the wrist, and change sides. So we have the palm of the right hand facing up, the wrist below the shoulder. We might want to stay there. We might even want to take the shoulders forward. But if we have the capacity, the space in the body, we start to take the hips back. I notice how I'm much more open on this side, which is really interesting. Try to keep the arm more or less straight. Again, a micro bend in the elbow is okay. Try to keep all 4 fingernails and the thumb on the floor and the base of the wrist. And then coming forward, gently ease yourself out of that. Just be careful about going straight back into full weight bearing after that one. So maybe just easing yourself forward. We're going to come into downward dog. If you prefer in this downward dog, just come onto your elbows, give those wrists a moment, then do. But if you feel okay in the wrists, tap the toes. Downward dog. Downward dog is a great posture for exploring these facial lines. So really plant the fingers, the pads of the fingers into the floor, and feel like you're kind of radiating the fingers outwards dynamically. So there's like a stretchy, active feeling in the fingers, because the end of the facial line is the tips of your fingers. And then they're coming up the top of the hand, top of the arms, shoulders, back, down the buttocks and down the back of the legs. And of course, we're not forgetting the feet. So they're coming down through the heels of the soles of the feet all the way to the toes. So see if we can find a connection between fingertips and toes, which are the 2 ends of this facial line that's being massively stretched and opened here. Spread the toes, spread the fingertips, and be very aware that even though these 2 parts of the body, fingertips, toes, are far apart in this posture, they're directly connected through the fascia. Relax the jaw, relax the neck. And again, anatomically track the stretch from fingertips down to toes, and notice where there's gaps in your trails. It's sometimes called the trails of the body, facial lines, trails. Breathing deep. And then we're going to come straight into, if we can, upward dog, but otherwise, if that's not possible, a back bend of your choice. So if it's available, you're going to come to this plank with the toes tucked under, so you're still getting that toe stretch, and then you're kind of rolling onto the front of the feet and dropping the hips and drawing the shoulders back. So we go directly from that back seam, back line to front line, again from the toes, this time to the crown of the head, and then back. So if this doesn't work for you, from downward dog, you just come to probably your knees and down to the floor, and then just to a little cobra. Okay, so we're back in downward dog. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here, just tuning back into the back seam of the body. And then again, coming forward to plank or tabletop if you don't want to do this upward dog variation. If you're in tabletop, come down and then come to cobra. But otherwise, we're going to see if we can just roll onto the front of the feet, stretch the front of the feet, drop the hips, shoulders back, look up, stretch the front line of the body, lift the chin. And then exhale, roll back over the toes, or come find your way back to downward dog. Take a breath here. And then when you're ready, look forward, walk, step or jump to a forward fold. So feet underneath the hips. And just kind of let the arms dangle or hold the elbows. But we're just focusing again, the feet are flexed here because we're standing on the floor, which is great. Up the back of the legs, down the buttocks and the back to the crown of the head. So almost like look up to your navel a little bit. But then we can do something here. There's options. You can either roll the front of your mat in so that you can bring your toes, you want your toes to be higher than your heels, or you can reach down and kind of, a bit like Padangusthasana, but we want to be lifting the toes up. So for me, the rolling of the mat, if you had a low block, I don't have one, so this is too high, this brick. I mean, you could try, but if you had a low block or a book, a flat, oh, I've got a book actually. I can use my book. or roll your mat in, but just elevate the toes a little bit and just come forward again. And maybe you want to also just hook the fingers into the tips of the toes and find that connection between fingertips and toes. So you should feel, if we lift the toes higher than the heels, just a deeper kind of, because we're stretching and opening the fascia a little bit more, a deeper opening of the soles of the feet, the backs of the ankles, and then at the back of the legs, or the whole line, to be honest. One more breath. And then at the end of the exhale, just unroll your mat, bring the hands to the hips, press through the feet, bring yourself up to stand. Okay, so we'll just move a little bit, focusing still on these lines. Hope this is making some kind of sense. Just let yourself be open to the exploration with no expectations of what you may or may not find. It all helps us bring our awareness inwards. Okay, so standing at the front of the mat in Tadasana, just feel this as a neutral posture. We're not particularly opening any one seam of the body, one facial line. And then we inhale up to a bit of a back bend, hips forward, fingertips back, opening the front seam. Exhaling forward to open the back seam, dropping the head, looking up to the navel. Inhale, looking forward. Exhale, back to the plank. Again, a neutral position or tabletop. Inhaling, and as you exhale, lower down. Inhale, find that lovely front seam opener. Press through the toenails, shoulders back, look up. Exhale, downward dog. Breathing into the back seam of the body. Fingertips, toes, connection. You might just want to wriggle and move the fingers and the toes at the same time to just unite them in your mind, like through sensation. And then at the end of your next exhale, look forward and step the right foot forward between the hands and release the left knee to the floor. Inhale, raise the hands. So this is another one. You can be on the ball of the foot or the top of the foot, up to you. But for me, actually, I'm enjoying the ball, the toes tucked under. And we're feeling this just line of stretch that's coming all the way up the front of the left thigh, hip, all the way up the left side waist, and maybe even up the arm to the fingertips. And maybe with the toe tucked under, you feel it also opening the fascia of the foot. And then exhale, bring the hands down, come onto the top of the left foot now, walk the hips back, coming into half splits, but use your left hand or your right hand, whichever one feels more stable actually, to draw the toes of the right foot back to the shin. So again, just emphasizing this connection down the sole of the foot, back of the heel, into the back of the calf, or back of the ankle, back of the calf. And it's intense. Just breathe into that intensity. And then slowly release that foot down, step the back toe under, lift the knee, right foot joins left foot plank. Inhale, or tabletop, exhale, lower. Inhale, find that front seam, press down through the toenails, shoulders back, lift the chin. Exhale, downward dog. Spread the toes, descend the heels, dynamically stretch the fingers and press the finger pads and thumb pad down. Connect the furthest points. Posture, relax the neck. The end of your exhale, look forward, step the left foot between the hands, release the right knee down again. Maybe just today, keep that back toe tucked under. Inhale, stretch the hands up and just focusing on this right side. Obviously, we're stretching the whole of the front body, but we're just focusing on kind of right toes to right fingertips, feeling a line of connection here up through the arms, armpit, sideways, and just observing where we lose awareness in different parts of that line, and that's okay. All useful information. One more deep breath. Exhaling, releasing the hands down, easing yourself off that back hip on the heel of the left foot, and we fold. So you want to be actively flexing. You're using the front foot muscles to actively flex, but then we kind of get that double flex by using either the right or left hand. I'm using right to kind of pull the toes gently towards the top of the foot. So we're using our foot muscle, front of the foot muscles, to really actively flex. And then we're pulling toes. So we've got two flex points, toe joints and ankle. And just take some deep breaths here. And then exhale, release, plant the hands, tuck the back toe under. You can just come straight to downward dog, or coming to that plank, toes flexed, tucked under, exhaling down. Inhale, really enjoy rolling over the feet, opening the front seam. Exhale, downward dog, rolling back over the feet. Fingertips and toes connect for a moment. Deep breath or so. And then we're going to bring the right foot forward again. So you can come to your knees and tabletop and pick it up and bring it. But otherwise, step from downward dog, spin the back foot. And this time we're coming up to warrior two. So we're facing the long edge of the mat. And look, we're back in our chest cavity, arm, fascia line. So this time the palms face down. We look forward over the right middle finger, but stretch dynamically in opposite directions. Feel this work, but feel it also as a stretch. When we work with this facial line, we're like strengthening and opening the heart cavity. And use your breath, deep breaths. Your arms should feel it, but so should your chest. Breathe into the back of the chest as well, the upper back, behind the shoulder blades. And then we're coming into that side stretch, side line. So bring right elbow to the thigh or right hand to the floor and left arm up and over. So the upper arm very close to you, palm facing the floor. And we try to feel the connection between the little toe edge of the left foot and the fingertips. So we press down actively through that little toe side of the left foot and we reach away. And again, maybe close the eyes and anatomically track that. Where do I feel that? Obviously we're feeling it in other parts of the body, the right hip, but just focusing on this left side opening as a line of stretch. We feel it in the arm, maybe the hands or fingers around the hip, leg, maybe around the outer left ankle. Inhale, come up. And just swap sides. We'll come back into the flow. So turn right foot in, left foot out. Bend left knee. Find warrior two. So we're really focusing on that dynamic reaching in opposite direction. So the arms are super toned and enough stretch so that we stretch and open. It's like we're cranking our heart open here through this stretch. Looking forward over the left middle finger. Don't forget to use those back muscles to draw the shoulder blades down and together so the shoulders are away from the ears. And then Parsvakonasana, left elbow to thigh or hand to floor, right up and arm comes up and over. And even though you're probably feeling this in the left hip, focus on this side stretch down the right side of the body. See if you can feel that when you press through the little toe of the right foot and reach through the fingertips in the opposite direction, that it opens up the whole of the right hip. It opens up the right side body. You feel it in the arm, the hand, the outer right ankle, maybe in the outer leg, maybe around the knee. Look up to the right hand if available. And then inhale to come up, straighten the left leg. We're just going to pivot again, but walk the feet in a little bit. We're going to turn left foot in, right foot out, and come into Trikonasana. So again, we inhale, reach, feel fingertip to fingertip connection. Exhale, slide the torso to the right, and try to bring your right hand to press against the inside of your right leg. So rather than touching the floor or touching the leg, we're pressing the back of the hand to the in leg. So the palm is open. And again, here we reach down with the right hand and we reach up with the left hand. So we're still trying to find that fingertip to fingertip extension and connection. Some of you might even reach the floor with the right hand. But don't force it. Might be all the way up here, no problem. But try to find fingertip to fingertip. Inhale to come up. Turn right foot in, left foot out. Start, reach dynamically. Feel the chest crank open. Exhale, slide the torso to the left again. Palm faces forward today. Press the back of the hand to whatever you find here. But as best you can, we want to try and have this kind of plumb line from upper fingertips to lower fingertips. So the higher up you are, the harder that's going to be to feel it as a plumb line, but it's still kind of possible. So the shoulders are stacked as best as possible. Reach, feel the chest opening and strengthening here. Connect fingertips. And then inhale, come up. Turn to face the front. Take the hands down, and you can just come straight back to child's pose or downward dog, or you can step back to the plank, do another vinyasa. Exhaling down. Inhaling, open the front seam. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose to open the back seam. Maybe drawing the gaze up towards the navel here. Just take a few breaths here. And at the end of your exhale, we're going to look forward, walk, step, or jump the feet to the hands. Inhale, look up. Exhale, drop the head. Press through the feet. Inhale, raise the hands, maybe take hips forward, fingertips back. Exhale, Tadasana, back to the neutral. Enjoy the neutral for a moment. Okay, so we're just going to work with the wall for a moment. So I hope you've all got a little bit of wall. You don't need much. Wow, oh, we're going to finish a bit late, aren't we? Time is zooming, but that's okay. So we're going to do the clock at the wall first, and then a spinal traction. So come to a piece of wall. You don't need much at all. It's hard for me to show you this. So we're going to have the hand, the wrist in line with the shoulder, with the fingertips pointing away from you, behind you. So I'm sideways on. My wrist, you can't see, but my wrist is in line with my shoulder, and my fingertips, you see them waggling there, are pointing away, pointing behind. And you stand so your hips are directly underneath you. So you don't want your feet to be out so you're leaning. You want your shoulders to be over your hips. And we press through the heel of the hand. And then some of us might be able to walk away from the wall, deepen that stretch. And what we're looking for, as we press actively through the heel of the hand, we're looking for, again, the line of stretch and how it travels up the inner arm and into the front of the chest, maybe into the space behind the shoulder blade, maybe into the neck. I can feel it around my right ear. So again, we're just kind of anatomically tracking the sensations here. And then if you've turned away, turn back to face forward and turn your wrist so your fingertips point down towards the floor now. So I'm now like this. Now, before I was like that, and now I'm down. Okay, so maybe I can kind of show you. Yeah, my fingertips are wriggling down, but arm is in line with the shoulder. And again, press. Maybe the sensations shift a little bit. And again, some of you might be able to walk away from the wall. So you just kind of twist, turning away, so you're facing further away from the wall. But don't lose the contact with the heel of the hand, the base of the hand, and the wall, and press actively. It's really intense. I really feel it around my right ear, which is very interesting in terms of looking at fascia. Breathe deep. And then slowly come back. And finally, just have the palm facing, the fingers facing up. So I'm now fingers pointing up. Okay, in line. So maybe again I can show you fingers pointing up, in line with the shoulder. Press. Maybe walk away. Notice how the sensation shifts. I can really feel this in different part of my forearm, especially if you're really actively pressing. It's strong work. Breathe deep. I feel how it's opening the front chest here as well. Connection between fingers and chest. Walk back towards the wall. Just release the arm. Just let it hang and just notice. It probably feels a lot longer than the other one. I can like see it and feel it in my body that this right shoulder's gone, which is great. And now this left shoulder feels really up here. So let's even up. So we start with the fingertips pointing away behind us. So arm in line with the shoulder, hips underneath the shoulders. I'll just move out the way so you can see what my hand's doing. Behind. Press through the heel of the hand. If you've got capacity, start to just walk the feet away from the wall, facing away from the wall, but keep pressing. And maybe for this kind of very strong internal inquiry work, I really think it helps to close the eyes so that we can reduce external distractions, pratyahara, sense withdrawal. We can start to just really be stimulated by inner senses. In this case, the body sensations, the feedback of the body. And then walk back or to face forward. Change the hand position. So now the fingertips are pointing down. So I'm just showing you wriggling, pointing down towards the floor. Press the heel of the hand in actively. Try to draw the left shoulder blade down the spine, plug it in, rather than letting the left shoulder rise, maybe walking away from the wall. This is very intense for me. An interesting anatomical tracking around the elbow, elbow for me. And again, not so much this side, but the ear. So I'm just sharing my inquiry, but I don't want to influence yours. So I'm just encouraging you to just simply notice where you feel it, and then start to join the dots with your minds and kind of draw a line of where in the body you're feeling this. And there might be branches in the line, like I'm definitely feeling a branch down to the chest. Unwind, come back to the front. And last one, you should be feeling it as effort as well. Fingertips point up, straight up to the ceiling. Heel of the hand in line with the shoulder, maybe walk away from the wall, actively press. So this one I really feel very differently in the forearm, and actually more around, I've got a branch line going behind my left shoulder blade very strongly. Down from the chest. So just feeling, there's no right or wrong here. We're just drawing our own kind of inner map of where we're feeling this, and therefore how this is all connected. And walking back to face forward, releasing the left arm. Hopefully now we feel like a gorilla, really long arms and shoulders are dropped. So there's a very good tension busting sequence. And then just at the wall, I'm going to show you as if I've got an imaginary wall, because it's hard to show you when I'm against the wall. And we're going to press again the wrist in line with the shoulders, fingertips point up, and we're just going to push the wall away and get this kind of lengthening down the spine and down the back of the legs. So you come to the wall. You want your feet to be underneath the hips. So again, you don't want the feet to be behind the hips. You want them to be directly underneath. You want the hands, the base of the wrist to be in line with the shoulders, and we press. And when you press, your spine's going to lengthen. So you might need to walk the feet a little bit further out. If you're very bendy, try not to sag too much into the upper back. We're working more with the spine, the back seam of the body. So lift the chest up, lift the front body up, and work more with core. If you're very tight, you are trying to drop the chest. So we're trying to always find the balance. Just press, press, press. Feel again. And you feel this is a line either side of the spine, down towards the pelvis, maybe across the buttocks, down the back of the legs, maybe not. One more deep breath. There's no right or wrong, just inquiry. And then walking the feet back towards the wall and release. And hopefully we feel along in the arms, along in the spine. So we're going to come down onto our bellies. So just find your way down. If you want to flow down, by all means. I'm absolutely desperate for a pee, so this is going to be interesting. I might have to verbally describe rather than do. Let's see. We're going to come down onto our bellies, and we're going to work with diagonals again. So once you're down, you're going to have your right hand underneath your right shoulder, and you're going to reach the left arm forward, just straight out in front of the shoulder. And like we did on our hands and knees, we're going to inhale, lift left hand, right leg. So everything else stays on the floor. You're going to press your pubic bone down in the center, and also lightly press down through right hand and top of left foot. So everything that's on the floor, you're gently pressing, but the same as on the hands and knees. You then, once you've got the shape, you focus on the stretch. So you reach the right toes back and you reach the left fingertips forward. So it's about length more than height. Exhale, release. So I'm definitely doing the verbal cues here. Okay, so swap sides. Have your left hand underneath your left shoulder and your right hand straight out in front of your right shoulder. And then when you're ready, lift left foot, right arm, and stretch and reach. So left toes, stretch back, right fingertips stretch forward. Can you feel a line? Can you feel the connection? Can you feel a connection between the toes and the fingertips that are stretching here? Doesn't matter if you can't, but we just tune in as subtly as we can. Keep breathing. And then exhale, release. Just take a little rest here. You can have the forehead on the back of the hands, or you can have the hands by the side, turning your cheek to the floor. Great, and then we're just going to do one front seam opener while we're here, and you can go as deep with it as you feel prepped for. So kind of entry is the Sphinx. So we've got the elbows under the shoulders, and we're drawing those shoulders back. We're pressing the pubic bone down lightly, stretching the front line of the body. If you want to go deeper, you press through the hands and lift up higher. And if you want to do the whole of the front seam, you would do the bow. I cannot do it, my bladder is too full. But to remind you, I can't do the full posture, but to bring the heels into the buttocks, take the hands back, and then push the feet into the hands to lift up, so you're balancing on your pubic bone. And then you're going to feel it from the crown of the head all the way down, hips, thighs to the feet. So otherwise, just stay in the Sphinx or a slightly higher Sphinx. Okay, so just I'll let you count about 5 breaths or so, and you'll kind of peak back bend. So we're opening this front seam. Feel it again. Where do you feel it? Can you lift the chin and feel it in the front of the throat? Come down when you are done. And we'll just come straight back into a counter pose. So just walk yourself back into Balasana. And again, you might just want to take classic Balasana today. Dropping the head, dropping the shoulders. Or you can keep the hands outstretched if that feels better for the spine. Just kind of feel it for yourself. I'm going to give you a really long child's pose. I'm going to have to nip to the loo. I'm really sorry, it's very unprofessional. I had a big cup of tea before the class. Just take a really long child's pose. I'll be with you very shortly. Okay, so actually that probably was a good little thing that happened, because you spent a long time in a posture, so then you can start to really feel the subtleties of these facial lines. So hopefully you've started to feel that. So just gradually coming out, letting the head come up last. And we're just going to finish with a few postures where, again, like we just did, front seam to back seam. We're going to do that again, but with a little variation. We're going to come into the seated forward fold, and we'll start with the forward fold this time. But again, I'd really like us to work with the feet. So different ways you can do this. If you can reach your feet, my invitation is that you hook the wrists over the toes and pull back like we did in half splits. Or you could pull on the little toe edge of the toes and push the big toe pad away with your thumb. But for those of us that's not available, which I know is many of us, we are going to use the strap. Okay, but we're wanting to open the soles of the feet and kind of work with opening the fascia all the way to the beginning and the end of it all. So, sometimes we just flop forward At this time, I want us to have awareness in the feet. So you need to be pulling a little bit. Excuse me. I ran up the stairs. Okay, so you're not necessarily dropping the head to begin with, but we will go into that in a moment. But just for now, you're focusing more on active feet. So knees might need to be bent. So probably the chest is forward a little bit. But then see if we can keep that awareness on active feet and then drop the head. So Paschimottanasana is Western side stretch. So it starts at the big toe, down the back, down the soles of the feet, back of the heel, back of the legs, all the way up buttocks, lower back. And to get the full Western stretch, we need to kind of drop the head and even kind of draw the chin in a little bit. But try to keep the feet flexed. So it's a bit of a hybrid. Sometimes we work more actively with the legs and the feet. Sometimes we work more with just rounding the back, dropping the head. But in this one, we're kind of doing both. So legs and feet stay active, but we really just allow the back to round, the chin to draw in towards the chest. And then we're getting the fullest expression of the Western stretch that we can. Couple more breaths. And then at the end of your next exhale, slowly come up. We're going to go straight into the Eastern stretch. So this stretches the whole of the front seam of the body, because in the full posture, we have the big toes pressing down. So again, it's like the stretch starts at the true end of the facial line, all the way, and we drop the head back. So we're right into the crown of the head. For those that can't, you could do this one. You're not going to get the full kind of pointy stretch, or just do the best you can. You can actually get yoga weights that you probably haven't got them now, but you can kind of weight the feet down with this posture eventually. But just do the best you can, but try to point the toes, okay? It's the opposite of the flex. So hands behind you, fingertips point forward. We're also stretching that spatial line of the hands and wrists and arms. And then lift up, drop the head back if it feels okay to do so. And then just focus on pointing the toes. Even if you can't get the big toes down, just point and stretch the toes, so the opposite of the flex, so that we get this front line, facial line all the way down to the toenails, or tips of the toes. And then at the end of your next exhale, slowly lower down. This is a lot of focus on the feet and the wrists. Again, when you're coming up, you can do that thing that we did where you slowly peel the hands off, pressing the fingertips down. It's really good for the fascia of the hands. Maybe just giving the wrists a bit of a roll. Maybe just taking the feet side to side, so windscreen wipering. So we stretch into the side, the inner ankle, the outer ankle of the feet. So just kind of paying attention to all these different lines in the body. Okay, I'm going to come down onto our backs. Need to check the time. Okay, that's good. So we'll do a back bend and a counter pose, but then I'd like us to finish with the plow. I'll guide us into it in a particular way when we get there. Okay, so I want us to have time for back bend and inversion. So bring the heels into the buttocks and spread the toes and place the palms down. And then when you're ready, inhale up into Setu Bandhasana. You may wish to, what we're looking for is to get this full opening across thighs, hips, front body. And if it helps you feel more open, take the hands up and back so the palms face up. Or you might feel more open with the palms down. You might just want to explore that. But we're just looking to open the front seam of the body as best we can. Notice that the opening kind of stops at the upper chest because the chin's drawing into the chest rather than looking back. And then when you feel ready to come down, slowly come down. And we're just going to do one more back bend. So just take a moment here, maybe have a little look. You can repeat that, but if you want to go further, towards the wheel, or the stepping stone to the wheel starts to get into the full facial line because it starts to open the throat as well. So you could, for this second one, even if you just come onto the crown of the head, see now the chin isn't into the chest, so that stretch is coming more into the full seam of the body. And then if you make it into the wheel, you can even kind of look back slightly so you feel that stretch all the way kind of to the tip of the nose, almost, or the forehead, down the front of the body. That's only if you're prepped enough for it. If not, just do another Setu Bandhasana, but just kind of notice the stretch kind of stops at the throat. Okay, so just take one more back bend if you're not already up. And again, looking to take at least 5 breaths. So just for the purposes of our theme today, you might, even if you don't usually, you might want to explore coming onto the crown of the head, but only if it's appropriate for your body. Otherwise, Setu Bandhasana is absolutely fine. Just breathe into the front body stretch you're receiving here. Feel it tracking from the knees, up the thighs, up the hips, the belly, the chest, and then if you're in wheel, also into the throat, up the shoulders. And when you're ready to come down, just slowly lower with control. And take some resting breaths. Let the sacrum be neutral, the spine be neutral for a while. And then when you're ready, take that capital L, arms overhead. And really it's downward dog on our back. So again, it's like the full, if we could flex our wrists here, quite hard to do here, we'd get the full variation, but we just reach the fingertips back, but we work actively with the feet, opening, spreading the feet. And the whole back seam of the body, legs, buttocks, and then bend the knees, bring the knees into the chest, bring the hands forward. Breathe, stretch into the lower back. And again, where do you feel this? You just start to draw maps of connected sensation in your body with your mind's eye. Like just a bit of fun, really, more than anything, a bit of a curious exploration. But you would be surprised probably what you're feeling and tracking and drawing in your mind's eye probably matches the anatomy books of facial lines. Okay, and then from here, we're going to finish with plow and a side twist. So plow, just to remind you, we've been of momentum, we bring the feet overhead. And my cue for today is to tuck the toes under. So often in this one, I say come onto the toenails, but to really work with this facial line of the back body, again, to seal all the way to the toes, try doing it with the toes tucked under. And interlace the hands. If the feet don't touch down, don't worry, just support the back with the hands, but see if you can still flex the feet. Okay, so just have a little go at plow, unless it's not for you, you know, if you've got neck issues, eye issues, you just don't want to go for it. Just take a block under your sacrum, take the legs into the ceiling, but just see if you can work with flex feet today. That's our kind of just focus. Okay, so if you're in the plow, feet are flexed if they're on the floor, and you're pushing the floor away with the ball of the foot to lift the knees away from the face and lift the hips up, firming the thighs. For me, I feel this is a really strong facial line stretch down either side of the spine. You could also finish in Kanapidasana, where we bend the knees and let the knees kind of come to the outside of the head, almost hugging the temples or squeezing the ears or the temples if you can. And now you come onto the tops of the feet, so the toenails are touching the floor now. And for me, again, I feel this is a lovely, real facial line in the back body. Opening, cranking open the back of my body. And then to come out, whether you took Kanapidasana or not, just release any bind. You might even want to hold the edges of your mat or just press the palms down, but bend the knees, allow yourself to bend the knees and just gently roll out. Keeping the thighs close to the chest for as long as possible so that you just place each vertebra down one at a time. I find it a delicious massage until the feet get to upwards and then vertical legged again. Press through the heels one last time, and then either single or double leg lowers. Double leg if you want to work the core and your back is okay. Otherwise, single leg lower, just bend the knee. And we arrive down on the floor. I hope and think we've got time for a twist. It was just one twist because it's another delicious, yummy way to feel the facial line. So just plant the feet with the knees bent, take the hips over to the left a couple of centimeters and allow the knees to come over to the right. So just a simple cross twist. Maybe rest your right hand on your left thigh and extend the left arm away. So this is a cue I often give, but I just love feeling that line for me, it's from the outer left knee, which I really tune in, maybe the outer left ankle, but it's very particularly from the outer left knee, up the outer thigh, outer hip, outer side body, and actually the left side of the belly opening and left side of the chest. And I feel it tracking down the arm into the fingertips. So see what you feel. Can you connect left toes to left fingertips? Or left knee to left fingertips? Where do you feel this in your body on that left side? Breathe into it. And as we're nearly at time, we could stay here a lot longer. You could, if you want, stay here a lot longer, change sides, and then Shavasana. That's where we're going for the rest of the class. But if you're following me with the timing of the class, roll back to the center, press down through the feet, offset the hips to the right, knees come over to the left, extend that right arm out in line with the shoulder, or for me, to get that line, it's not all the way behind me and it's not all the way out with the shoulder, it's kind of diagonal. So there's this diagonal, we're working with diagonals again, really. That line from right knee to right fingertips, feeling it around right shoulder, pectoral muscle, into the right lower back and belly, onto hip, onto thigh. I gently press and almost pull down with my left hand, feel it right into the attachment with the right knee. And breathe, feel the diagonal stretch through the body. And then just slowly coming back to the center, planting the feet, bringing everything back to the center line. And just maybe finishing with that cannonball, hugging everything in, flexing the feet and bringing the head up to meet the knees, really drawing the chin right in. So again, we flex and squeeze everything in, and then take Shavasana. And just let go. Feet wider than the hips, flopping out, arms away from the side, palms up, spine like a plumb line through the body, connecting with pelvis and head centrally in the body. Just let everything go. And when we work with fascia and we understand fascia moves through everything, then we know we need to let go on all levels of our being. We need to let the muscles go, the ligaments, the tendons, and even the bones. Let the fascia stretch as everything drops into the support of the floor. And just to feel yourself as a whole, just feel yourself as an interconnected whole. The great, great wisdom, the interconnectivity of your body. Everything is connected. Relax, release, renew. And then I'm just aware of time, and I'm aware that Shavasana is quite short, but quite a deep practice. So if you feel not ready to move yet, just stay right where you are. For those who wish to close with me, we've run over just a little bit. Just begin to deepen the breath, move the body. Just gradually return to seated. So maybe let's just close in gratitude for fascia, for the wisdom of our body, for the mycelium network of our body that is the fascia, how it enables all parts of us to speak to the others, communicate. Just feeling that wisdom within you. And just whenever you feel complete, open the eyes. Thank you for sharing this practice this evening. Hope you enjoyed. Namaste. And see you soon.
Thank you so much, Becky.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.